Good morning, everyone. This is Molly Blanchfield with Prairie Systems, and today we are going to go over mobile survey. What is it? Why did we create it? And how can you use it? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This is being recorded. If you have a question and you want to ask that question, you can go ahead and send a message in the chat and let me know that you have a question. But in the very end, we're going to be doing just an open question and answer session for anyone who wants to ask some questions at that point. So I ask that you just hold your questions until we get through the core presentation. Anyone who does join, if you would mind, for housekeeping, just go ahead and mute your microphone if you know how to do that. And let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to close that. Mobile survey, what is it? Mobile survey is a data collection tool that can be used to collect data from the field. It's an information source that can be viewed in the field, and it's also a communication tool that is unlimited in possibility. Mobile survey was created to eliminate issues related to paper forms, including unreadable information, lost forms, inaccessible information, and provide real-time access to information created, as well as real-time validation during the information collection process. We want to go ahead and show you how to create a survey response, how that flows through the process and into FAS, and then I'm going to show you how to actually create your surveys. In FAS Mobile, a user who wants to provide a survey response would select a farm and or select a group or barn. They're going to select the menu ribbon and select survey. All surveys that are created are available under the survey area of FAS Mobile. So the user can select which survey they're going to submit information or which data they're going to submit information. Here's an example of a sample survey with various types of questions that can be utilized on a survey. In this case, we have a number entry, a text entry, a list entry, a date picker, a time picker, and open text area. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this survey. Wishful thinking there, right? I prefer not to answer. We can choose, I'm submitting this survey or I'm creating it. It says, what is today's date? So as I select in there, it brings up a date picker box. And then I can select what time. The current time on my computer is actually 11:35. It's off a minute from the server. And then we can put in a text response to a text area. This is a large area text box. There's also the ability to have small area text boxes. I do have pets. My favorite number is 7. I like all of these colors, so I can check, I'll leave yellow off. I don't really like that. I currently do not have a drug withdrawal, but if I didn't really know what that means, I can go ahead and click on that information. The current days on feed for my group, and I have a new question. There's my drug withdrawal information that explains what that term means. So you can embed information into your questions to explain to your user what you're asking for. My group's current days on feed, they're just 2 days. And this is a new question. Okay. And I'm going to choose a date. The other thing that most surveys can do is you can allow pictures to be uploaded. It is not required, but you can allow a photo of a form, a photo of a piece of equipment, a photo of an animal. Any kind of photo can be attached and uploaded to the survey. The survey is submitted. It does not like my answer because it is the wrong type of answer. So it did a validation. That's the real-time validation. Okay, so I submitted that survey. Where does it go? The survey responses end up in FAS, accessible by the survey report. Notice that I don't have to process it. There's nothing I have to do. The information is just there in the survey report. Here's a listing of the surveys that have been submitted into this system. This is just a full listing of all records, but I can filter using all the various features of our Smart Report style to filter the information. I can review specific information that was submitted with a survey. Here's one that was submitted on a weekly dead, and here's the image file that was attached to that survey. I can also download the data from a selected group of surveys through our download options. I can download just a list of survey responses, or I can actually download the detailed data with a data export option. So all of the information that you collect through mobile survey can be pulled out of this area or pulled out of the cloud for use in any other downstream processes that you may want to use that data for. Okay, so that's just a real quick profile of once you have a survey created and published, how a user can submit that survey and how you can view that information. But how do you build it? The number one feature for building a survey is creating your question list. So I'm going to go here. We're going to go under user surveys and then question list. We have 9 different answer types that are available to use when you're creating your questions. And then you'll create a list of questions. So just similar to if you take a look at a form that has a list of fields on it, each one of those fields on a form is going to be a question. So when we create a question, we give it a name. What is this question? It might be comments, as in this case, or a question such as, I'm going to come down here. Why is FAS surveys awesome? The answer type can be selected from a list. It can be a checkbox set, date picker, number box, a number with a min and max validation, a large text, a regular text, a time, or a yes or no. Grouping of questions is just a label to organize your questions in the question screen. It is completely optional. And then depending on the type of answer that is selected, then you can provide additional. So in this example, select from list is the type. So then you can add the options that would be available in the list. Once you create a question, then you need to create a survey to use those questions. That is done in the survey list page. You create a survey by selecting Add New. You can give it a sort order, but it is not required. Again, that's a label to help organize those surveys on your survey list page. We'll give our survey a name. and a description. Again, optional to add a full description, but it's always advisable. Oh, I do need to put a sort order in there. I'm just going to add a 1 there. All right, so here is my new survey, and that's just my information. So this is kind of like creating a file folder. We're creating a folder to attach a group of questions and giving that group of questions an identity of the survey name, Molly's New Survey. To create and actually build our survey and tell FAS what questions we want to have on that survey for the user to answer, we go into the Survey Builder tool. Your list of created surveys identities are displayed in the survey list area. You can scroll up and down and see all your surveys. So you're going to select the survey that you're building. And when you do that, then your list of questions that you have available in your system are now populated over in the question list. To add a question to a survey, you're simply going to use your mouse or your pointer and grab a question and drag it literally to the area that says drag and drop question here to add to survey. And that's going to add that particular question to the survey. So a key thing to point out here is that you can use the same question on multiple surveys. So you don't need to create a separate question, for example, for the date. I'm going to go ahead and just filter all of my questions so I can see all of my date-related questions. So I have a question that is a date picker for the date, and I want that on my survey. Once you have questions added to your survey, then you can choose some options related to how you want those questions to be utilized on the survey. First of all, by default, every question that you add to a survey is required to have an answer for that survey to be submitted. But let's just say you decided you did not want to have that requirement. You want to have some optional questions. You just toggle on and off required versus not required by selecting the required and not required to change that. I also want my questions to be in a specific order. So I come down here and I can click the reorder questions. And then that enables me to grab and move around my questions into a different order than how I originally just dropped them into the survey. Once I'm done reorganizing the list of questions, I select Save Order. As soon as questions are added to a survey and that is saved, that survey is now live and available for the farm to use. For example, if we come back to FAS Mobile and we go into Survey, we can now see Molly's New Survey is there. It also has my description that this is an example. It has my 3 fields. I did require a date. I did not require a farm. And I can browse to attach a picture and submit. And that survey submission has been recorded in FAS and is now available instantaneously in the survey report. I'm now going to go ahead and open this up to questions from all of our participants. And see what questions you guys have about using mobile surveys, how you might use that in your own operation, and what other questions you have about building surveys. All right. Alicia, do you have a question about building surveys, or have you been using surveys?
First of all, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Okay. We use survey for, our field guy uses it a lot for the site audits, medicine deliveries. We do have one grower that really loves using survey to enter, you know, like the daily observations for in the barn. We've kind of just left it as an option for the growers if, like, they're not required to use survey for recording their, you know, water and temperature and whatnot, but we are trying to move towards everything is sent through survey. So even if you're not digitally entering it, you're still sending, instead of sending that picture to my cell phone or to my email, it's going through FAS with that picture upload option is what we're trying to move towards.
So baby steps, kind of a baby step approach to going to digital from your paper
Right.
forms is just allowing them, because they've been currently sending their pictures to you guys already?
Yes, that's how we generally receive them, yep.
Gotcha. So just using survey to have it all collected in one place and not in any one individual's cell phone, for example.
Right. I was like, it gets kind
Great.
of annoying. My phone blows up from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. pretty much every day.
Gotcha. Well, that's great. That's terrific. All right. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Let's see, who else do we have on here? Who else that we have on our call is currently using mobile surveys, and can you describe how you're using those? Let's see, who do we have on the phone?
Hi, this is Jan. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
Jan. Yeah, great.
Yeah, we've been using surveys quite a bit for our placements, for our wean pig placements into nurseries, as well as our finisher placements. That's been a big help.
How did you do that collection of information in the past before you implemented survey for that?
It was all done, you know, in triplicate, either duplicate or triplicate copy, and then, you know, of course, a copy stays at the firm, and a copy comes into the office with the trucker or the service manager or something like that. So we don't do it we have it real time now, which is nice.
Nice. Did you ever get pieces of paper that maybe smelled a little funny?
Yeah, many. Happy to throw those away.
Absolutely. And then how about, was it easy to read everyone's handwriting?
No. A lot of times that was a problem.
Gotcha. So going to using mobile to collect that information, just how has that impacted your office? What have you been able to do now that you have that real time that you really couldn't do before?
And mostly do it from our own computers, from our desk. It goes to a couple of different girls, and they're able to you know, both see what's going on and the status, so it's done a little quicker.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. Do you have any particular questions that you have as a burning question about survey that you would like to ask us?
Not really. We may experiment with some more. That might help. We're getting all of our users on FAS mobile, and you know, recording deads and feed orders and stuff. So there may be some possibilities of using the surveys for things rather than you know, just talking to them back and forth, I guess.
Sure. How has the adaptation been with your growers or your service people that are submitting that information? Did you run into any particular challenges with getting them to use the mobile application for that versus a piece of paper? Was that easy? Was it difficult? What was your experience in doing that?
But it's a little of both. Some of them, you know, they're all ages, of course, and all technology differences, you know, and stuff too. But now that a lot of them are using it, we're seeing a lot better communication, I should say, with some of our growers, and we're working now on just the contract growers mostly, and it's been going well.
Terrific. Awesome.
Hey, Molly.
Thank you. Yes, Alicia, go ahead.
Can I ask Dan a question?
Absolutely.
Okay. So how does that work, or how did you set your survey up? We too have like, yeah, it was either a 2-copy or 3-copy sheet of paper, and you know the sow unit fills out one section, then the trucker, and then who's ever receiving the pigs. And so of course, as we kind of tossed around the idea of recording movements through survey, it was like, well, it went from we had all the information on one page to then there was going to have to almost be 3 separate entries. And then my boss didn't know how he felt about having the sow unit enter it either, because at this point, you know, they don't. The only one up there that, well, actually, he doesn't even use FAS. Anyways, yeah, I was just kind of wondering how that works for you guys.
We have just the person that's receiving the pigs. The sow unit does not put anything in there. They send their sheet along with the trucker so that they know what they have counted out and stuff. So, but the manager that receives the pigs in will compare that, of course, with what he has received, and then he'll submit it. On that survey, it tells us, or he will enter what the sow site sent, and then he'll enter what he received, if there's any DOAs or rejects or anything like that. We have him enter the truck weight, the gross weight, the net weight, the tare weight, and then what they're actually going to put into the barn, the number of heads they put into the barn. We can make it as detailed as you want, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice that they don't have to they don't have to write down the group number that they're putting it into, because you can just choose that and then go to the survey and then put it in. So it's just one less there.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Jan. I didn't really highlight that before with just showing how a survey can be completed, but a survey can be completed at either the farm level or at the individual group level. And depending on where the user initiates that survey from, whether that's just at the farm level or the group level, FAS automatically collects who completed it, when they completed it, what farm they were completing it from, and or what group if they completed at the group level. So they're not having to put that information like they would have to write it on a paper form, because FAS just already knows that. So that's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Jan.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any other users on that are currently using FAS mobile surveys in their operation? How about, do we have anyone on that is not using mobile survey, that is thinking about implementing and has any particular questions that they would like to ask either myself, Alicia, Jan, or anyone else on the call?
Hey Molly, this is Greg at New Horizon Feeds. We're not using it. Really, I hadn't even thought about using it, to be honest, but just kind of listening to everybody here certainly kind of started some discussion with us on things we could use it for, so it was good information anyways.
Terrific, terrific. All right. Well, unless anyone has anything else, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this call up. This is recorded, and we will be posting this link to this for user access. It will be available from a link that you can access inside your FAS system so that it can be watched. You can watch it again to help spur that thought process. If you want to reach out to us and have an individual consultation for your company about how you might be able to use FAS surveys in your operation, please feel free to contact us at support@prairiesystems.com, and we will certainly set up some time to visit about that with you. I thank everyone that joined us today, and Jan and Alicia and Greg, all of you for your participation. This is exactly what we hope these lives will be. Our intention is to do one every month on a new topic so that we can bring people together almost as an online mini user conference. So we can talk about a feature and our users can communicate with each other about how they're using the different features in FAS in their operations and share ideas so that we can develop that community. So again, thanks to everyone for participating. We really appreciate that. Hopefully you got some good value out of the conversation today, and I hope you have a super rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.